Hello, welcome back to the Reality Kingdom where we put the real in reality or whatever. Period.
Period.
I am Armand T, your host for today, pronouns Sugar Shack, because maybe that's where we're going today. And I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Josie Ann. Josie Ann, how are you feeling today?
There's something so funny about hearing my name sometimes and just hearing Denisha in the back. Like,
Josie Ann, Josie Ann, Josie Ann.
Josie Ann. Shout out to Denisha. I'm doing
Mhm.
swell. It's so funny because I'll give you some background a little bit. I got an email before the show aired, and I was under the impression that whoever was going to get eliminated was like not interested in being doing exit interview because that has
Mhm.
happened before with Traders Canada. Someone being like, I don't want to be interviewed. I don't want to talk about it. So I was like, ooh, I'm curious to know who denied interviews and who got eliminated.
Mhm.
And Boo Boo the Fool here, no one did. So
Yeah,
now
lo and
what?
behold. Yeah, so once again, no exit interview, unfortunately, because nobody was eliminated. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, this episode I really liked up until the very end. I thought,
Mhm.
you know, we had, well, it was kind of a shorter one in terms of tasks, but we had a face-off. We had a lot of teams. I would say probably the most we've had like changing of places since the start of the race. We've had some redemption for teams, some falls from grace from others teams. So it was a good episode, right until nobody went home. Um, so yeah, how do you feel about the episode
I
overall?
like races that extend, like, oh, psych. But at this point, if I can give a little bit of criticism, I feel like we've not seen enough teams go home at this point in time.
Hmm.
And I love that we're seeing more of certain teams, but at the same time, to me, at at the rate that we were going, I think it would have been more sickening going into the finale if we had a continuation race and it was like, okay, we keep the final teams here. I don't want to see the same amount of teams over and over and over again. But I like the episode. The episode was good. I was kind of hyped at some potential elimination processes, and I was very happy about the team who got in first. So it was a big win
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think we need to start cutting these teams. There's no reason we should have seven teams going into like seven. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous to me. And it also just makes it feel like everything that happened in this episode, like all the changing of places and all like this new stuff we were seeing from these, underdog teams like felt for naught. Like it felt in vain because like these other teams face no consequences and now potentially we have like we could just go back to the status quo in the next leg. So it's like, okay, I guess. But shall
I will
let's get
say
oh.
Oh, I was gonna say if a team that made it did really well in this first half goes home in the next episode, I will be quite sick. Like I'll be like disappointed
Hmm.
because I don't feel like at
Yeah,
this point I don't think it's worth it.
yeah, completely agree. So let's get into it, okay? So teams are leaving from Peterborough, Ontario to go to Scarborough, Ontario, as well as Markham. And we see they're starting off in two different buses, which I don't really love. I mean, I guess it probably as a result like minimizes the difference between the teams, but like to just automatically start like the first three teams in like one bus and then the last four in a different bus is like okay. Um, but yeah, so we see them go off to get their first clue, and we immediately have a detour once they get to, I think it's like Union Station. And that choice is between sink or sum. So in sink, it's a classic pool diving challenge. They have to go to Toronto Pan Am Sports Center, and they have to perform a top dive in sink. And then some, they have to go to Casa de Luz Banquet Hall and they have to memorize 10 different orders of dim sum. But the catch is that the customers only order in Cantonese. So they have to figure out how they're going to place the Cantonese orders with the food they're seeing, even though none of the teams speak Cantonese. So what choice do you think you're making, Josie? And keep in mind, there's only four stations at each place.
I want to give a big shout out to Union once again. That's my stomping grounds. It felt like home. And let me tell you something. The concourse are like, oh, just pick a go concourt. I'm gonna give you some background for those who are not aware. There's two of them. There's York, and then there's I'm blanking on the other one, but there's two of them, and they're huge. So it wasn't like a cute little like 2 minute run and try to find
Mm.
the clue card. I knew for a fact, like depending on if they didn't really guide them as to which Concord to go, it could have taken longer. So shout out to that. But to answer your initial question, here's the thing: when the teams are saying, ah, "That's like the easy one, but it's really hard," and and then they went to the other one, and then they got egg on their face. I did laugh. I did
Mhm.
laugh. But I think it depends who I was partnered with because the diving aspect of it is not something that I would enjoy necessarily. And it requires for me, my teammate, to be very in sync. And I feel like I would have given very a certain team's energy rather than slaying it. Whereas like this one, yes, it's in a different language, but I think you can use little things like we see another team do. So language wise, and I've been around a lot of my I have a lot of Asian friends now, and like I've learned a lot about their culture and some dishes. So even some of the things they were saying I had recognized. So I think it would have depended who I was with, but I think I would have leaned more menu rather than diving.
Hmm. I agree. I probably would have been inclined to do some for multiple reasons. One, I'm not
Mhm.
really not too comfortable with the water. Like, I'd be like,
Ooh,
I
I need to
don't
work
even
on
know how
that.
to.
I need you on
Well,
the show. I don't want any flops.
and when I get
Yeah.
cast, I will work on that. I will. Uh, hey, look, Keisha and Jen, like notably, infamously, were scared of water, and then they won the race 2 seasons later. So, you
Okay.
can it doesn't stop you. It doesn't stop you all the way. Okay. But yeah, because I would be in my I'm like, well, what if the dive you have to learn is like complicated, and then like I've never even
Mm,
really like dove into water from like a diving board, so that's already
mhm,
like what's going on there, and then we have to be in sync. Like, chat, I don't know versus like going to a restaurant and memorizing 10 things. Like, I'm very good at memorization, like, and I can come up with
mhm,
little mnemonics to remember certain things and all that. So I would definitely feel more comfortable with some. And I mean, we saw that prove to be the really the right decision, no matter where you were
yeah.
in the pack. Because what happens is basically every team initially wants to go to sync and do the diving thing. I think except for Amin and Sarai, I think they were the only teams who like their first choice was some.
Yeah.
But as we see, like those back of the pack teams, specifically Tina and Liz and Shayla and Cheyenne, they're like, well, girl, we all racing to get to four stations. There's already three teams in front of us. Like, I don't know if we're gonna get it. So we might as well switch it up and go and do some instead. And so they end up doing that. Shayla and Cheyenne have a really good race moment where we see them like going to somebody on the train, and they're like, okay, what's like the best stop to get to this place when we get off? And they're like, go to Edlington, go to Edlington. And they're like, go to Edlington, go to Edlington. Because maybe the other girls, they were not tuned in on that. They got off. I forget what stop they got off of, but they was looking confused as hell.
Yeah. They got off on Scarborough, I believe.
Hmm.
Very close to
Yes, yes,
Scarborough.
yes. Hmm. Um, and so honestly, we saw a lot of drama in just like the teams getting there because we see this
Mm,
moment. Tina and Liz and Amin and Soraya both get off at the same stop, and they're like, "Ooh, there's no taxis." So they both have to end up calling for a taxi, and then the taxi rolls up, and they're like, "Oh, who's it for? Who's it for?" they're like, "Ooh, we don't get names, babe. We just know where to come. We just know the stop that we need to go to is." And so this very awkward interaction happens between both teams where I think Sarai specifically plays it very well. She's like, "Baby, you guys, we're slow. I'm the old mother who can't, I can barely, I have to hobble on one leg, and we decided to vote with you guys in the last leg. So please give us the cab, give us the cab." She ate that. She ate that. Because Cena and Les are like, "Okay, I guess you can take it. You can take it, I guess." What did you think about that move?
You know what, Mama? I'm on your side. Soraya, I am
Hmm.
on your side. You know I like you, girl. You know I'm rooting for you. You one of the other teams I'm rooting for. I thought it was so fun in camp. Girl, it's hard. Like, I was like, yes, guilt trip them. Mind you, Tina
Yeah.
and Liz are just good people because a very
Hmm.
savage player would be like, I don't care. You gotten here this far. You can
Shayla
live
and
with that
Cheyenne
bull.
would not give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying. So it's really funny, but I wish I think there's an understanding for Toronto viewers how confusing things could be on the transit, but for those
Hmm.
who are not aware, it can be a bit confusing because the GO train isn't. So we have what we call the Via Rail train, and it's our nationwide train. It's not one train that goes from one city to one city to one end to the other end. There's trains that go different ways, and there's like central points, like Toronto, for example, and Union Station. So there's a lot going on at Union. It's buses, it's trains, it's everything. So you have your Via Rail that stops at Via Rail, but you also have your GO train. And the GO train is for the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. So it takes people to different cities, right? So that's why when they're talking to the ladies at the front and they go, "Oh, you have to take Lakeshore East." I, for example, take Lakeshore West, which is the other direction. So Lakeshore East is taking a few cities. I'm going to talk about Lakeshore West because I'm more familiar with it, but it's like quite a few cities. It's like Oakville, Mississauga, Burlington, uh, even like certain places in Toronto still. There's a lot of stops in one city. So your city destination could be, oh, we're going from Toronto to Scarborough, which are two different cities, but between the two there's like six stops, and then there is some more on the side, so it can be very confusing. So I thought it was very intelligent. I don't know who the girl was that was helping them, but if I were them, I would have taken my Google Maps, started put my original start, which was Union Station, and pick the location, and you're usually able to tell what stop to get off of. So I'm glad that Shayla and Cheyenne really took the time to really consider that. I don't know if that's exactly what they did, or if the girl who was on the train was just very knowledgeable. Could be either
Hmm.
or. But I that was a little mistake that Liz and Tina did. But what I liked early on in the episode is that they said that they've been taking note of the small mistakes that they've been
Hmm.
making.
Hmm.
And it's this time we've been around Toronto a few episodes, so I don't think we'll still be in Toronto, or the GTA moving forward. But I'm hoping that this is some energy that they carry forward. So I have to give props where props are due. And
Hmm.
I get why the transport is confusing. And the calling the taxis ahead of time, the other teams did that. I thought was
Right.
so smart. And again, a missteps on planning and preparing. And I do want to knock Liz and Tia because they should know better.
Right. Yes. And I'm glad you brought up the because that's what I wanted to bring up, the little
Mm-hmm.
soundbite about like Tina and Liz, like, oh, we've been watching our mistakes and we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
actively learn from them. Because I think it goes hand in hand with what I've been saying the past few episodes. We've been seeing a lot of like Tina and Liz messing up despite them
Mm-hmm.
like kind of being perceived as the team who's like, oh, we've studied every leg of the race, like we know exactly what to do, like we have our P's and Q's lined up and all this stuff. And so, I was starting to get a little worried. I was like, are they leading up to, Tina and Liz like flop in sixth, seventh place or whatever? But I think the fact that we got that kind of narrative of like we're learning from our mistakes, and then obviously we got the outcome of this leg. I'm like, okay, this is like this is our redemption. This is where Tina and Liz have learned from their mistakes. Now they're actually putting them into effect and like are gonna see those results. So I'm feeling a lot better about them moving into the
Mm.
future. But even in this portion of the episode, I was still a little where I was like, "Ooh, girl, what?" It says currently in last. It says currently in last place. I don't like it. I don't like. I was starting to get nervous. I was getting butterflies in my stomach. I have to be real.
I hear you. I hear you. But to your point as well, I think this is like a learning lesson for fans
Hmm.
of shows that want to go on. You can study
Hmm.
the game all you want. Like you really can. It's great in theory, it's different in practice. And it's
Hmm.
how you adapt to your mistakes and pivot to me that show what a good player is. Because it's everything gets out the door kind of like when you're in the game. Yeah, you can study
Hmm.
things, but it's about execution and there's little things you're gonna miss. So like I'm hoping that a lot of teams in the future, people who are watching the show, because like they're bound to maybe go to Toronto again. Let's be for real, because there's
Yeah.
so much going on there. At least go to Union Station because it is such a central point of transportation. That I'm hoping that people kind of clock that mistake and take that with them as they move forward.
Hmm. Completely agree. And yeah, again, like just before getting to actual sync or some like Shayla and Cheyenne, I just feel like they do multiple things that are
Mm-hmm.
like just good race strategy. And like I think they're becoming like the like clear like most improved racers, I would say, as the
Yeah.
race goes on. And it's unfortunate, obviously what happened kind of in the middle of the leg that like held them back. But like the fact that they still survived it and like still have like all these things going for them right now, like I feel good about that. So, you know, so yes, so the teams get to the actual tasks. So in sync, um, the teams are learning. I mean, I don't even know. We don't really see them like being shown what the dive is supposed to look like or anything. We just kind of see them like attempting it, from what I remember. So we see the teams are basically everybody's kind of struggling at first. Either the dive is off or the dive is sloppy. They're not in sync with each other. Everybody's kind of doing poorly at this point. And then we cut over to some and Shayla and Cheyenne again because they were kind of on top of it, like getting the right directions and having the cab waiting for them. They're the first to show up to some by a long shot. Like we don't even see like Tina, Liz, and Amin and Soraya come in basically until Shayla and Cheyenne finish this challenge. So they're already ahead of the game, like figuring out how they're gonna make this work, blah blah blah, all the things. Um, and so what ends up happening is Shayla and Cheyenne, they figure out their system of like their little mnemonics, like, oh, we'll think of this word when we hear it and it'll go with this food and whatnot. And maybe they get out of there first. When I tell you I was shrieking, I was screaming in my room. I said, whoa, Big Mama's on the stage. Come on. When I said currently in first place, I said, ooh, this is crazy. And going into the face off. Now we know what happened with the face off. But when they were going into it in the first place, I was like, oh wow. I was like, oh, we're getting out of there good. We're good for the rest of the leg. I don't know. I was excited. I was excited.
Mm. No, it was funny. Like I was like, oh yeah, like they ate that, and
Hmm.
and it's interesting. I'm curious how much previous knowledge of another language helps you in deducing these ones
Hmm.
because maybe you have a lot to reference or pull from. Like I'm curious what would have happened if Sasha and Sebastian actually came here, and what they
Hmm.
would have been able to pull, which would have been interesting. But Sheila and China was like first, like I live. Like
Hmm.
I was excited for them. We have never seen them in that position, so far. Never say never. But I was like, oh, this is sickening. And then I also made me feel good about Tina and Liz because I was like, oh, they got something that they're pulling from anyways. And like we didn't
Hmm.
talk about this, but looking at the menu on the train, I was like, yes, the transporter.
Right.
But them looking at the menu, I was
Hmm.
like, that is so big brain. Like I would have never thought about doing that. And like, of
Hmm.
course, you don't know if there's
Same.
gonna be special food or whatever, whatever. But it
Right.
helps to have some sort of background knowledge, and I think that was sickening, going into this. So shout out to everyone who did this challenge for real. Like they really did eat. Diving,
Hmm.
oh. Mm,
That's a different story.
yeah.
And so let's go back there. At the diving challenge, you know, teams are they're getting over the learning curve, and they're starting to get out of the diving challenge. Basically, everybody who decides to do it gets out except for Felipe and Clara. You're fading once again, Felipe and Clara. You're fading. It's really bad for them. So they're still stuck at the diving, and then we go back to some, and we see both Tina and Liz and Amin and Soraya get out of that challenge as well. So at this point, Felipe and Clara are firmly in last place, and everybody else is heading for this face off. And the surprising thing, another great little advantage for the teams who chose some is some was actually closer to the face-off location
Hmm.
than the other detour. So even though teams like Tina and Liz and Amin and Soraya were, I think, fifth and sixth place going to the face-off, they actually end up getting their second and third. So all the teams that chose some end up being the top three teams going into the face-off. So and they were all on the second bus starting this leg. So maybe some just paid dividends
Hmm.
for teams at this point in the race. Um, and eventually, of course, Felipe and Clara are able to do the sync, so they end up being the last team coming to the face off. And so let's talk about the face off.
Hmm.
So essentially, they have to go to the Canadian Community Table Tennis Association, CCTTA, okay? And they have to play ping pong against each other. It goes up to 11. The first team to get to 11 gets to pass that opposing team, and the losing team has to go against the next team coming in. So Shayla and Cheyenne, as we said, they get there first, and then Tina and Liz end up being their opponents, and Tina and Liz end up winning, and they get to leave out the face off in first place. And this kind of causes a domino effect, unfortunately for Shayla and Cheyenne. We see them, they play every single match because they end up losing every single match, even though they did get there first. And so we see every single team, including Felipe and Clara, pass them, and they have to wait out that 10-minute penalty by the end of the face off. And this was just tragic to me. I was like, anything but a face off, and I feel like they could have like stayed consistently in third place, like top three at least, throughout this leg. And it was just this one thing that like tripped them up from having like really like a perfect leg, I would say. So it was just, yeah, it was disheartening. And then when like Amon and Beck had to come up and like hug them, I was like, damn. Damn,
Hmm.
it's really bad.
Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't. I'm curious about you, Armonti, but like, I feel like ping pong has been pretty current in my life. Like, we had one in my like
Mhm.
cafeteria, and so everyone would play. So like, I know how to play. I wouldn't say I'm the
Yeah.
best, but I definitely know how to hold my own, if you will, especially if I get to practice again. But is it like is ping pong a thing for you? Like, was it a thing that showed up in your life?
In college, like there was in
Okay.
our like what do you call it? Like residential area,
Oh,
whatever,
okay, residence. Yeah.
lounge
Mm,
area. There was a ping pong table. So, you know, people would always be playing, and that's honestly the most experience I've ever had playing ping pong.
yeah.
And you do kind of like ping pong is one of those sports I think where need to like you don't need like super technique to like get the hang of. Like it's just like the more you play, the more you kind of get the hang of it. And so yeah, the fact that Shayla and Cheyenne like lost to everybody was like, oh, they've never touched a ping pong paddle in their lives, clearly. Cause yeah.
Because I feel like they were getting better, but part of me just felt
Hmm.
like, and I don't really know how the face-off rules fully work, but like part of me was like, can you leave the table and just practice? Because it felt like
Hmm.
from the moment they got on there with Tina and Liz, they did not move. And part of me was like,
Right.
clearly something's not working, and you're getting frustrated and flustered. at what point do you say, you know what, let me remove myself and let these two other teams compete? You know, if it
Mhm.
loses, we'll go back in there and then try to compete against them. Like, I don't know if that's allowed, but I would think, like, girl, like maybe don't stay there because you're getting like crushed every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like if they maybe put like 5 minute intervals in between each match just to make sure people could practice and stuff. Cause like,
Yeah.
yeah, if they don't, then like the other teams behind you that like if there's, four teams waiting, like all those teams are now getting to practice like with themselves, like no pressure, like no stakes on the line to that practice, whereas you're like constantly like in the ring, like fighting for your
Hmm.
life in the race essentially. So it's yeah, that's a tough situation. It's almost like bad to get there first, essentially.
Yeah, and especially if you don't feel comfortable. So I was
Hmm.
like thinking about that the entire time. But unfortunately, while they stayed there, at least Tina and Liz got first, and that was a
Right.
win for me.
And that's what I was happy about. That's what I was like, Tina and Liz, a return to
Like those are
form,
my
back where we're
sisters.
supposed to
Like,
be. Back where we're
I'm
supposed
their
to be.
triplet
Exactly.
by
Hmm.
once removed, twice
And I'm the
removed.
quadruplet. Right.
Well, yes,
Yes. And we all look like,
yes,
yeah.
twins.
Hmm.
It's like Andre and
Hmm.
Beck from Victorious. Very much us. Yes, sir.
Right. Very much that. So yes, Shayla and Cheyenne end up being the team that has to incur that 10-minute penalty, which I do always appreciate that like the penalty is like something that can easily be made up. Like 10 minutes is not like gonna
Yeah.
kill you in the race. Like if it was something like an hour or something, I'd be like, okay, you're overdoing it now. Like this is extra. But it's just a cute little 10-minute wait before they can get back out on the road. Uh,
I was surprised that it was
Sorry.
10 minutes. I'll be honest. Like when I looked, because they don't tell you, you have to look at the TV to see that like graphic
Yeah,
that
yeah.
states the time. When I saw 10 minutes, I said, oh, like I was like, I'm pretty sure those matches probably lasted 10 minutes. Like potentially,
Mhm.
right? If they're really swinging
Yeah.
back and forth and like really like doing the thing, like I was like, a match might be 10 minutes itself. So it's like they're
Mhm.
competing against no one and then what? And like that was my thought process. I part of me was like, maybe it should have been longer. Like I was like, I feel like 10 minutes is too
Yeah.
nice. Given what we've seen what a penalty's like an
Mhm.
hour and a half. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, maybe we're pushing like 30 minutes, maybe 20.
Mhm.
But 10 was
Yeah.
generous.
I feel like somewhere like around 20 probably is like more adequate, like a little bit more of
Yeah.
a real penalty, but not like too, setting you back.
But I'm glad, I'm happy for them
Yeah.
because you know what? Like they were already in first. It just that was how they were dealt with. So I'm glad 10 minutes
Mhm.
is not as bad. But I'm just thinking about other teams who have been put in penalties in situations where I'm like, damn,
Exactly.
like I feel like we can't be generous in some areas and not be generous in others.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also did feel like less bad about it because they came there in first place and it was
True,
like,
true, true, true.
damn, like they couldn't catch
Yeah,
one single break in these games. So I was like, okay, like I'm glad they just got a cute 10 minutes to make up some ground.
that's fair. That's fair.
So after the face off, teams get a clue for a roadblock. And the clue is who wants a latte love? And we've been talking about the roadblock clues a lot up until this point, and I was like, this is probably the most detrimental clue that they've ever given to the teams so far in this race. Like even before like we saw like the outcome of it and like who teams ended up choosing, I was like, I would have no idea because like me, like I have a lot of experience like acting, memorizing lines. So like if I had known what this challenge was, I would have been like, oh, I should do this immediately. But because the prompt was who wants a latte love, I'm like, this is nothing. It's gonna be like making a coffee or something. Like that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't even drink coffee. So like that would not be for me. And then just like many of these teams where they would have opened that shit and been like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean is it's an acting challenge where you have to go memorize and be in like a rom-com. That's insane. What did you think about it?
I thought I did chuckle a bit. I did laugh. because oh Lord, here's the thing. Because of the preview, I knew there was gonna be an acting challenge. So I was like,
Right.
oh, like I don't think it's this though. And then when it was, I did cackle. I would have give like I personally would have been like I'm down to do it even based off the clue because one, I funny enough, oh well, I'm wearing my old work shirt.
Oh,
it's a Black Lives Matter Starbucks shirt, which is kind of ironic
oh,
if you know anything
yeah.
about
I was like,
Starbucks. Yeah, but I
right
used to
message,
work at
wrong messenger.
right. Because I used to work at Starbucks for almost 3 years. So like I would have volunteered. Like obviously
Hmm.
like Starbucks, the equipment is very different than like an actual like coffee shop. Like there's some similarities, but there's some differences too. Um, but I would have volunteered. And then when I found out it was acting, I would have been like, I would have been in the right place anyways because I used to do improv like competitively. Like I've won medals and stuff like that. And I used to act in like school plays and stuff. So I would have been like, boom, like give it to me. Like, you know
Hmm.
that, I don't know if you've seen that like meme of like Storm from that like Tyler Perry movie where they're putting both Storm and she goes boom. But that's exactly
Oh,
how
oh
I
yes.
felt. That's
Hmm.
exactly how I felt. I was like, yes, like 1,000%. I would have loved this challenge. I really would have loved this episode, but I was very surprised that we're doing two memory things like that. Like we had dim sum. Obviously, that was a choice, but
Hmm.
that's like memory and like trying to remember people's orders. And then we have a challenge. So it's like, even if you were like, oh, I don't want to do some because of memory purposes, it's like you have to do memory regardless. Like
Hmm.
the teams had to do memory. So it's like at this point, teams who are coming on the show and who are like, I'm bad at memory, sometimes you don't have a choice. Like I was thinking about
Yeah.
Cordelia and
And Dana.
Dana. Because I was like, they would have
Yeah.
hated this episode. Because it's
Hmm.
like memory, and they wouldn't have gotten a choice, even if they wanted to avoid it. So I enjoyed me personally. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
No.
especially Iman and Beck's reaction. Like the setup
Yeah.
was so
They
nasty.
were
The
horrified.
setup was Beck's like, oh my god, Eamon, you're gonna do so well.
So
Like,
you
oh
do
my god,
latte
it
art.
has
You
to
do
you
latte
do
art.
latte art. And then the
And he was like, okay, okay, I'll do it.
180,
I'll do it. I'll do it.
like someone put that in the Louvre. That was sickening. Like I
That was
laughed my
crazy.
head off. I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing at you guys, but I just thought the editing, like I was laughing at the editing with the editing team, if you will.
Hmm. I was kind of laughing at them because I was like, "Ooh, you're getting last today, and I want to see it." Like, I'm sorry, y'all have been chilling for too long. You need to sweat a little
True.
bit. Yeah. Yeah, but like we say, it ends. So they open the clue, and it ends up telling them they have to go to Unionville and perform lines for a holiday rom-com. And for a few of these teams, based on the clue they were given, Who Wants a Latte Love, they are gagged. Amon and Beck and Felipe and Clara specifically, I would say. Because as we just mentioned, Amon and Beck, they're reading this. Beck is like, oh, like this is like latte art. Like this is like exactly in your wheelhouse, Amon. And he's like, oh my God, yeah. I was like, he's okay, okay, you're right, you're right, you're right. Then they open the clue, and as soon as the word memorize comes up, Amon is his face drops. He's like, oh shit. Like I think in his mind, he's like, we just lost the race because I'm not gonna be able to do this. So it's really bad for them. And then Felipe and Clara, when they get the clue, I don't remember if they showed us like their reasoning behind who did the challenge, but I think if they had any inclination it was going to be memorizing lines, they would not have chosen Clara because she openly says like we find out she only learned English like 2 years ago, and like so there's a lot of words she still doesn't even like know, and then the fact that she also has to memorize them and then like say them like in this in this shoot or whatever is like just bad for their team all around. So those are the teams I think we see that are like most worried about this challenge, and unfortunately those fears come to fruition because we see them struggle bus through the entire thing. Um, the other teams, so all the people we have doing the challenge are, of course, Amon, Clara, and then we have Sebastian, Soraya, Mateo, and Tina. Oh, and I forget which between Shayla and Cheyenne did it, but they were fine, child.
Mhm.
Um, Basically all the like Tina, Soraya, even Mateo, they all kind of breeze through it.
Mhm.
And they all are able to head to the pit stop. Sebastian has a little bit of struggle. Like at one point, he even is like rehearsing lines with Amon, like because they're like, "Baby, we not getting this, so maybe we need to work together, figure something out." And then Shayla and Cheyenne, they managed to get to this challenge and they kill it. Okay, they are show women. They said we're gonna get in here, we're gonna memorize this, we're gonna be out, and that's exactly what they did. Okay,
Mhm.
so all those teams end up getting out, and eventually it's just Amon and Beck and Felipe and Clara. And immediately I'm cheering. I'm like, we're about to see one of the big dogs go get the fuck out of here. I love it. Everything's about to be shaken up. Like it's all gonna change. All the dynamics are different now. And yeah, I mean, how are you feeling at this point, Josiane?
There was a few things that I noticed that I thought were interesting. First of all, Tina and Liz ate Soraya. Ate.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Soraya, man, I like her.
She's
If there was if
clutch.
there was
Like,
if there was Amazing Race like fan vote favorite, I would vote for Soraya. I would want Tina and
mm-hmm,
Liz to win and then vote for Soraya and Ethan. That would be my dream situation.
mm-hmm,
But to be honest with you, like what I thought interesting in this moment, aside from people like messing up, we kind of knew people what like the people who aren't good in memory. We had a pretty good idea because we've seen other challenges that way, right? Um,
mm-hmm,
what I thought was interesting is Sasha and Sebastian feel like very good social players. I think people don't seem super threatened by them. But when you
mm-hmm,
have a moment when you're working with someone like Iman who's freaking out, and you can see like that camaraderie and that helping and exchanging, I thought was like super kind. Like he didn't need to, mind you. It's not like one person needs to memorize one half and the other person has to memorize the other. They both have to memorize the same parts, so it doesn't
mm-hmm,
actually aid him aside from maybe like if he's like while he's saying it he's also saying it or something, or like saying it in his head. But even
mm-hmm,
then, that's more work to get the same results of practicing. And it was like these are small moments like of like helpfulness that I think can pay dividends in the future. Like I don't see a world where Iman and Beck ever turn on Sasha and Sebastian. And I believe there was an
mm-hmm.
agreement in the beginning of this episode to see if they can help each other out, that they would. So
Right.
it was interesting to see them actually do that in this challenge in particular. When it's not really a challenge you can help, but there are people who are still extending
Mm-hmm.
that favor.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally wouldn't have done that, but yeah, I agree with you. I did love that camaraderie, especially like if we're both like struggle busting right now, like, girl, I'm not trying to I need you to stay behind me. That's what I know for sure. That's what I know for sure. Um, but yeah, so we see Amon and Beck and Felipe and Clara are the last two teams there. At this point, we don't really know who's gonna make it out of there first. Like, presumably it will be Amon because he's just been there longer. But every time we see Amon go up there and like do an attempt, it's like god awful. Like it's like the woman will say her lines and he's like, is it my line now or what's going on? Or he'll just like freeze there for like 30 seconds. I'm like, whoa, like this is really bad for him right now. But on the other end, it's like Claudia's like looking at some of these words. She's like, drizzle, ooze, what the fuck does this shit even mean? And so it's just like they're both like, honestly, I was like, I don't know how either of them are gonna get through this. Like I thought both of them might take a penalty at that point. I was that's how scared I was getting.
And part of me, I don't know how long people were in that challenge.
Hmm.
Iman, I don't know if I would validate taking the penalty for, because I part of me feels like it's mind over matter, and I don't
Hmm.
want to discredit or invalidate his feelings, but I think he clocked it when he was like, I feel like I've been internalizing a lot of things. And I think this is
Hmm.
a moment for him to conquer that in a way that feels rewarding. Clara, I don't feel the same way. because like and not to be shady, but like English, while it is somewhat easier, for example, than French, it's still a different language that you don't understand. So
Yeah.
not only are you not fully catching what the words are, but you're also like in a situation where you have to memorize in a different language that you don't understand. And it's
hmm
one
Where
thing
all
if
the
it's
other teams do understand it.
right. The other teams understand it. And it's not like some where it's like everyone doesn't understand it. Or it's not like you don't need to know the words. You just need to come up with clever things to remember. It's like you have to remember them verbatim. So I
hmm
wouldn't have faulted Clara for taking the penalty because I
hmm
don't know how far the difference between the teams were, right? But if it's like low key, let's just take this L and run, like low key, I wouldn't have faulted them. It was another thing for me when I did my exit interview. I forget who said it. I think it might have been Maestro and Dwayne, but they were like Jonathan hates quitters. Like he hates. He's not
hmm
fucking with me. Again, that's not verbatim what they said, but I'm pretty sure that was what
Yeah.
was
That's
implied.
been kind of his history.
Yeah, and like same thing, and it's like same thing with like TJ and stuff. I think there's like a with the challenge and stuff. I think there's like a respect to production and the work that they do and things and people sign and blah blah blah. But I empathize so much with Canada. Like my
hmm
parents immigrated to Canada, not speaking English, right? And we were lucky enough that where they started off was like French areas. But growing up, both me and my parents had to learn English. So if you would have asked me or my parents to go and then cite, and mind you, they have to act. So you don't understand the words. You don't really know how to act it out because
hmm
you don't fully understand what you're even saying. And then you have to memorize it. And it's like three things stacked against her. So I'm
Yeah.
glad she didn't quit. I think it was a major slay that she did not. But I wouldn't have blamed her. I wouldn't have been like, I wouldn't have treated it the same had it been someone else because her circumstances are different.
hmm
Um, and I don't know if I should knock production because a lot of love was kind of funny because like maybe we should be giving them heads up about like what the challenge is supposed to be. You know what I mean? We do want to see them struggle, but when you
hmm
have someone barely speaks the language, I don't want to say barely, but who is very much a
Very
beginner in the
new
language,
to the like, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it is not that equitable. And then it raises the
hmm
question, is Amazing Race supposed to be equitable? Is it one of those shows where it should
Right.
be equity based? I don't know. I don't know what the answer of that is because it is I don't think anyone can just do the Amazing Race. Like I do think that anyone could do Big Brother because you're in a house, right? Like that to me is different. But Amazing
hmm
Race is supposed to challenge you. It's supposed to push you. It's supposed to make
Right.
you tackle your fears in some capacity and challenge you in physical, mental, emotional ways. So I don't know. I don't know where equity lies in the show, but that's like I guess a bigger conversation. I don't know what your thoughts are, but
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, and that's kind of one of the things that like made my feelings about this episode complicated because like as much as I did want to see like a team go home, especially a team that's like been in the front the entire time, like I was like, but I don't want this to be like why Felipe and Clara go home because this it just felt so unfair for her specifically because like all these other teams have this upper hand essentially like I think for every other team like this was their native language that they were memorizing, and so the fact that Clara got like hit with this like right at the end of the leg was like, well, that's like it'll feel icky like if they go out because of this because she simply like is not, like a native Canadian like who grew up speaking English and everything. And so yeah, and I personally think like The Amazing Race should like it should challenge you like you're saying, but like it should challenge I think they should strive to challenge everybody like equally. Like nobody should have to face a greater challenge than other teams because of their background or where they're from, which gets into a larger conversation that I've always kind of thought about, specifically in regards to like black teams doing the Amazing Race, because they're often less traveled than like their white counterparts. And like you see that play into like how they're able to navigate different countries and like honestly like where they end up placing like in the race and like them getting eliminated, earlier than other teams. And so it's just a bigger conversation about things I think that the Amazing Race can do and also things that are out of their control. So, you know, yeah. Oh, you're muted, Josiane.
Thank you. Sorry. But even to your point about black teams, um, what I found interesting is, so this is more of a personal story, but me and my cousin, I promised my cousin once she graduated high school that we would do a cousin trip together because she's always wanted
Mhm.
to travel. Traveling is not something that's like really known in my family, so it really is me going out of my way to try to be more well traveled, if you will. Like it's not a thing my parents do. Like I've had conversations where my mom was like, you going on vacation is like going to the Bahamas for the first time because that's where I went last year. And she said that in front of people and she was trying to like massage it. But I was like, you're talking about me and it's okay. But she was like, for me, vacation is going back home. And I was like, okay, I hear you. Like back home being Rwanda. And I was like, you know what? Like a vacation to me is Rwanda, but I find it exciting to explore and travel other places that I've never been. And to be able to say
Mhm.
that I've been here and that I've been there. In addition to saying that I've already been to Rwanda as well. Um and I was thinking about it, and obviously I asked my cousin, what country do you want to go to? And initially she wanted to go to Spain. And I got really excited. I was like, oh my God. I remember showing her the Cheetah Girls movie growing up, and Cheetah Girls 2, Barcelona, all the things.
Mhm.
Then I looked it up,
Barcelona.
Barcelona. And I looked it up and I saw a lot of black creators talk about how problematic their experiences were in Spain. And I was like
Mhm.
really sad. And I was like, I don't know if me, and then I'm gonna have to take care of my younger cousin. Yes, she'll be like 17 at that point, but it's like still like it's my responsibility. And then having to navigate the world of racism. She's a little lighter than me, so that's like different. But I am still, and even me, like I'm not the darkest dark skinned woman that you've ever seen, but
Mhm.
I consider myself dark skinned. And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my God, like, would I be able to travel to this country with her and feel safe for the both of us? So I ended up
Mhm.
having a conversation with her where I was like, here's the thing. I looked up quite a few content creators that are black. Obviously, some people are saying, like, yeah, I was treating well and blah, blah, blah. It's not everyone, it's not every case, but a lot of them, it was
Mhm.
enough for me to be like, I don't feel comfortable with the idea of me having to watch out for the both of us. And I was thinking about it in the context of what you were saying, and I'm like, teams who have to go to different countries where there's racism and when there's like you have to get a taxi, there might be taxis that are not
Mhm.
willing to take you, and we don't see that. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's been in the history. You're more of the
We well,
historian than I
the
am.
fact that you say that, we literally saw that last season, like the
Oh,
most recent
really?
season of The Amazing Race when Jag and his brother were on from Big Brother. Because
Oh,
they're Sikh and obviously they wear like their
the
turbans
turban.
and
Yeah.
everything. And like there was a leg where they literally like fell, I think, to last place because they couldn't get a taxi to like take them because of the way they looked and presented themselves. And stuff like that goes all the way back to even season one, which I just rewatched, where like there was
Hmm.
only one all-female team left in the final five of that season, and they were in India, I believe, and like they could not like get people to like sell them tickets for like a train that they had to take. Like it took them like an exorbitant amount of time because they simply would not sell tickets to women. And so we've seen that stuff come up like from literally from season 1 to season 38 of The Amazing Race. So it's like it's very very present.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm not that I'm glad that that's being showcased, but I
Yeah.
am happy to see that that is a reality that is being showcased, and
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like in a bigger conversation of can the Amazing Race in general, not necessarily Canada, be equitable? Like, I don't know if that's the case. Like, and that's why I
Yeah.
was like,
It's hard.
yeah, like we're talking about color and we're talking about language, but like that's just one element of equity. So I'm like, now I'm like, I don't think there is a world where Amazing Race can be equitable. And it's not the production's fault, it's the world that we live in. So I'm curious
Hmm.
when there comes a time, I don't know if we have had a black team win, but if they
We have,
do,
we
like,
have.
okay, sickening. To me, that means that they probably had to conquer much more than any other winner. So, like, to
Hmm.
me, that's more impressive. So, shout out to whoever that team is. I might have to watch their season just to feel like to uplift our community
I
members,
think
if you will.
I think we've had 4 total black teams who have won in the
Okay,
38
nice.
seasons, and then 3
Okay.
all-female teams have won.
Okay. I like that I'm hearing that we've won. I don't like the number for 38 seasons, but it is what it is. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we have had an
Um,
all-black female team win, so that's something.
okay, I'm gonna ask you what season that is so that I can watch that. Because that is a slay. That's like intersectionality, period.
One of them was also
Um,
gay.
I already
Yes. Shout out
said.
Keisha and Jen. Yes.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them. I will be watching your season after this, amongst all the other things I have to watch. But yeah, it's but to in conclusion, right? This is a part of the race, whether you like to admit it or not. I don't want to say that you signed up for this because you didn't know going into like the challenge, but that was one of the things. But the thing is, Clara brings a set of advantages that we maybe haven't seen yet from potentially being
Hmm.
able to speak
Right.
Spanish. I
Yeah.
believe it's Spanish, right? It's not Portuguese, right?
I,
I don't know.
I think
Whatever
it's
language
Spanish.
it is. Yes, it's
It's one of
it's
those.
Spanish. One
I
of
think it's
them.
Spanish.
One of them languages. And I'm hoping that she'll have an opportunity to showcase that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So that there's some sort of like the pendulum swings this way, it swings back the other way.
Hmm. Completely agree. So yes, so eventually all the teams are able to get out of this roadblock. And there's no real intrigue, like the show doesn't even try to play up like this race to the pit stop. We see Amon and Beck come in 6th place because they do end up getting out before Felipe and Clara. And Felipe and Clara come in last place. And again, I was like, I was very, although the circumstances were like, okay, well, she didn't really know the language, so that was unfair. I was like, okay, one of the top dog teams is finna go home, and it's finna be like a whole reset. Like Amon and Beck are in the bottom going into the next leg, and like everything's changing. And then Jonathan starts asking them questions. He's like, "How do you feel?" He's like, Did you enjoy the experience?" They're like, "Yeah, we did all we could, and we just want to push on. We're just gonna push on." And he's like, "Push on." It's funny you say that because behind my back, actually, I said, "Oh my fucking god." Not a damn keep on racing. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous at this point.
I fear my goal after this season is over is to go and see if I can speak to Jonathan specifically and do a mini interview because I want to ask him how does he feel knowing that this team's not going home and then asking them questions? Is he waiting for a segue? Is he waiting for a way to pivot into
Right.
flip it and reverse it? Madam Marvel, flip it around, make it witch. Very much Jonathan. Like, yes. So I would love to ask him that because I thought it was so funny. But I think to your point, right? There's usually at the end of the episode, will they, won't they? Which team is going in last? Even though you specifically, you
Mhm.
have a good idea who's going home. You're fairly good at like sorting that based off your lived experience, right? The
Mhm.
fact that there wasn't that this episode almost made me go, huh? Because I was like, there isn't even like swelling of the music or anything like
Right.
that. And it felt very different than like any time we've seen a non-elimination like we've seen
Mhm.
like the emotional like whatever. Like I felt like we learned more about Mateo and Matias or Mateo and what's his name? Is it
Michele.
Matias? Michele, Jesus. Sorry, y'all. Matteo and Michele. I felt like we learned more about them and them being like influencers and like big Italian
Right.
comedian influencers, which I was like gagged. I was like, oh, love that for them. Um, then we did Clara and Felipe. I was like, oh,
Mhm. It's like, right.
like, and this supposed to be a non-elimination, like, but I think that was the difference between a non-elimination like that ends there versus a continuation, which is what we end up
Mhm.
seeing.
Right. Yes. And so they go to this pit stop, the RC Harris water treatment plant. That's such a crazy, just like on paper, it's a crazy place to go to a pit stop for. Ooh, not the snort. And we find out from Felipe and Clara that this is in fact a keep on racing leg. John gives them their next clue, and he's like, "You're not out. We're gonna see you at the next mat. keep it pushing. And that's where we end off this leg. So, oh, chat. So let's get into these placements because this was the real highlight, baby.
Big
Everything changed.
mama, big
Everything changed.
mama,
Okay.
big mama.
So in first place, we have Tina and Liz, a return to form, their first win since leg one of this race. I mean, they just put on an excellent performance. After that whole debacle with the cab and Amin and Soraya, they were like, we're putting belt to ass. Cause baby, they whipped through everything, okay? And they ate it up. They ate it up. And they got their first place. They won a trip to Barcelona, Spain, as well as the $10,000 cash. And I think overall, this leg just bodes well for their future in the race. I feel like they've completely because that was my whole fear. Like either it was going to lead to their elimination or it was going to lead to this like redemptive arc. And the fact that it led to the redemption arc, I feel like that's just going to carry through to the end of the race, to be honest. Whether or not they win, that's still up in the air. But I do see them basically as a lock, I would say, for the final four.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how much we learned from Tina and Liz, Amon and Soraya, Michaela and Mateo, and nothing from the rest of the cast, really.
Mm,
I feel like we've gotten to know Amon and Becca a little bit. I feel like we've gotten
mhm,
to know Sheila and Cheyenne, Sasha and Sebastian. So in my mind, even though this is the end of the episode and it's keep on racing, I'm like, we know nothing about Felipe and Clara. Like compared to the other teams at this point, like I think that they
mhm,
come second to like Michele and Matteo, where I feel like we don't know anything about them. Like I feel like we only know that Michele and Matteo are Italian. Like that's literally all I feel like I know. And that
yeah,
one of them
literally.
got a haircut recently and it got ruined during the
Yeah.
dive challenge. Like very comic
Hmm.
relief, very surface level. So
Yeah.
I felt like they were kind of saving it, given that we didn't get this big moment like we've seen with Maestro and Dwayne and Keisha and Nova. This big selling moment where I was like, oh, I think they're keeping that for the next episode because I think they might still be last. Um, but yeah, shout out to the first three teams. Michele and Mateo, the day I'll eat my words, I'll be honest, like when y'all hit first at one point. You guys are still
Hmm.
first, but I
Yeah,
think
that'd be
just yet.
crazy.
But third, I don't think we've ever seen them in the top four, let alone the
No,
top
this is their
three.
highest placement in
So
the
big
race.
ups to them.
Hmm.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Beautiful job.
Congratulations. Happy birthday. Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
Uh, yes, and then we have Amin and Soraya in second place. I think this is John said this was their highest, which it is their highest place, but this isn't their first time in second. So maybe again, I would say a return to form. I think really just as the race continues, we just see how clutch they come in, like at a lot of different tasks, especially Soraya, I would say. Baby, I would say she had the best performance in that acting roadblock. Like she almost got it on the first attempt. Like even the acting was there. I was like, oh baby, you're in the scene. like you're in character right now. Like this wasn't for shits and giggles for her. So she really locked in. They had a really good leg, and they're back in that top three. And at this point, I think they're real contenders for that final four, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what surprised me at the top of the episode? They said, yeah, a mother and son duo hasn't made it this far.
Hmm. That was
Oh,
crazy. I actually didn't know that. I was like, they must just not cast that many mother and son teams because I'm like, damn, it's only top seven. Like, oh my gosh.
I was like, okay. And mind you, had this been an elimination leg, they would have made it even further.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that they keep this position or even get first. Tina and Liz, I'll give them that first place. They needed it. They deserved it. Whatever, whatever.
Mhm.
But if they switch around and flip it around with Wicked Witch and the other one is first and the other one second, I'll still be happy. Like these are my teams. Like these
Yeah.
are my teams. And Sasha and Sebastian are like my eye candy that I enjoy watching.
Period. When they had those clothes off at the pool, I said, yes,
I
yes,
will say
yes.
I forget who it was that said, "Oh, were you flirting with the actress?" I said, "Oh, it's not giving that I'm their type, but I'm going to choose to ignore it." Yes,
Oh
yes, yes,
well,
yes, 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 yes,
yes. No,
yes.
I never assumed
Yes.
that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm a black woman in Canada. I know what's up, but
Yeah.
still, I'm
Mhm.
choosing to put that to the side.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like you said, Michele and Matteo, third place, just out of nowhere, seemingly. But
Yeah.
again, it's kind of one of those things. It's like they didn't do anything exceptionally well this leg, which makes me
Mm.
scared for them, like in the future. Like, yes, they came in top three, but like they, in essence, chose the wrong detour at the beginning of the leg. Um, they got through the face-off because Shayla and Cheyenne really just choked, to be honest. And then, I mean, they did fine at the roadblock. I think they were one of the better teams, but like they weren't anything spectacular. Like they didn't get it in one go or anything. And so it's like yes, you got this third place, but like how capable of you are you to maintain that is my worry with them.
I mean, I think Bianca Del Rio said it best. What can you do successfully quickly? Because I'm not saying that they're bad. By no means are they bad. It's just that
No,
there's not one thing that they're better at than every other team. And that's
exactly.
not a bad thing. Not everyone can be top of the class. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And that's okay. And that's okay. And I would love for them to be top of the class. I don't know what class it will be. I don't think it's memorization class or dance class
No,
or
no.
swimming class or running for that matter. I don't know. But there might be a class where they get in first. And I would live. I would live and I would eat my words and I would give them their flowers. And
Yeah,
rightfully so.
of course, of course.
Um, so I
Yeah.
don't know how, like, I don't want to say average. I feel like that's a negative connotation. But how much more can you be middle of the pack in all aspects and still make it far? You know what I
hmm
mean?
Yeah. And I think specific like when I say that, because like you can compare them to like a Sasha and Sebastian too, where I don't think Sasha and Seb have necessarily shown themselves to be that like the best at any real task they've done. But they also like I think for some teams, like some winning teams, even like the the best for them is just like being very consistent and are consistently not the worst at anything, which I think Sasha and Sebastian have shown. Whereas Michele and Matteo, like when they're bad at something, they're really bad. And so
Mm.
like I can very much see them like coming across a task that's just like really bad for them and getting eliminated. Whereas Sasha and Sebastian, I don't foresee a task like that for them.
And I also think the difference between the two is that Sasha and Sebastian feel like they have good, like they have social credibility, like not credibility, but
Mhm.
they have social leverage that they can use and navigate in the game. And I
Yeah.
think they're well liked. And I also think that they've won. So like they can use that in their repertoire. Hello, we've won a leg. Not many people can say that amongst the people who are
No.
left. Like
Yeah.
half of them can. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
half of them
only
can say that
only
they
3
won.
teams I think have won legs because 'cause they've all
Yeah,
won 2.
Zelina and Soraya haven't won, so it's half. Yeah. So like they're technically better. So that's why I'm like, you know, like Sheila and Cheyenne, to me, I don't know if they got fifth because they were the best or that they were the least worst. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it's
Mhm.
like I feel like Michele and Mateo, I don't know if they're there because they were the best of the worst, but the best of the
Right.
worst doesn't win.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because every team below Michele and Matteo, we saw struggle with one challenge or another. And
yeah,
so
and
it's like
I don't know. Like, I genuinely and hey, maybe there's an Italian challenge coming up, and then again, like
yes.
maybe, but I feel like the places, like the little Italy places that could have been potentially theirs, we've already seen in Canada. Granted, I don't know all of Canada, so we might go to Alberta, and all of a sudden there's a big community of Italians, and it's like the Kiki of the century.
Mhm.
I don't know, but like Montreal is known for having a little Italy, so that could have been sickening, but we've already been to Montreal. Toronto has Little Italy,
Hmm.
Jordi Toronto. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah,
I don't really know what more is left,
yeah,
but we'll see.
yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, so definitely still worried for them. I mean, worried is a strong word. I wouldn't really mind them going, but I would prefer still one of the top dog teams to go before them just to even things out a little bit. Um, so yeah, Sasha and Sebastian, I think we kind of talked about them already. Yeah, fourth place, I mean, they struggled. They did have some pretty bad struggles, especially with that last challenge, which I think is why they ended up coming in one of the lower positions that they've been in throughout the race. But I'm not super worried about them. Again, I think they're one of the more consistent teams, and I don't foresee them being one of the next two eliminated. And I very much see them in the final four. So I'm good with them. Shayla and Cheyenne, again, I damn near a perfect leg if it wasn't for that face off. Like
Yeah.
they did the best getting to their detour. They did great doing the detour. They were first out of there. They did great in the roadblock. I honestly probably think if they had gotten their like top three, they might have been the first out of that as well. Um, it was really just that face off that just put them so behind and made them sink so much. But the fact, again, like that they even were in last and then still managed to overtake these two teams and not like finish the leg in last is like I think that speaks so much to like their abilities and how much they've grown in this race. And so I wouldn't be again, they're still kind of a wild card to me, but I wouldn't be surprised if they like managed to sneak into that final four in a few legs.
Big. It was a big like episode for them, like in the best way.
Hmm.
Like I think they did really well in the beginning. Face off was a detriment. The thing is that when you start off first, I think it's easy to keep that momentum, and
Hmm.
or it's easier to keep a momentum as someone who is already first versus trying to climb up and be first.
Hmm.
Being that this is like a continuation of the leg, I don't foresee them being in first in the next
Hmm.
episode. Like I just don't see it.
Right.
I could be wrong. Things can happen again. I'm glad to be like I was wrong. But I I feel like they need to be in a position where they start strong and they continue strong. I've
Hmm.
never seen them climb the ranks, and they've never been in that position. So I feel like their best way forward, and it's also a thing of like confidence and mindset, right? Like it's easier to feel negative when you're in the bottom of the crowd and you're like, oh my god, like I'm fighting for my life. You don't see
Hmm.
yourself going, I'm fighting for first place. You're going, I'm fighting for my life, and that's
Yeah,
a different place mentally. And I think the mental state that people are in plays a big role, especially I don't know if like
for sure.
this season, to me it feels so clearly evident how much being in the right mental state will help you or ruin your game. um
Hmm.
and I just feel like for them, it would be better for them to start up in a position where they're first. So I don't know if they'll be first next episode, but there could be a leg where they start off first and they actually end up being continue continuing that route, especially when people underestimate them, and I don't think people see them as threats. And there's a pass or a U-turn or whatever that can come up, and shake things
Hmm.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. Avon and Beck, I would say probably the biggest upset of the leg. They come in second to last place, the furthest down they've ever been. I think this is the first time they're not in the top three of the entire
Yeah.
race. And yeah, it was really scary. I mean, it was all essentially because of this memory task that Amon was forced to do. And Beck, baby, she was sick. Like when he was doing that roadblock, like she was trying to keep up the energy, but like she was falling to the floor every time he like messed it up. Like she could see like their whole race like slipping from their hands. Um, and so I do think they'll be able to recover, and I can very much still see them being in the final four, winning the entire thing. But the fact that they do have this like they have an Achilles heel, like is what this episode has shown us. And also another thing I wanted to bring up before, the Amazing Race Canada is like big on memory challenges. Like that's like
Mm.
has always been like that's just one of their kind of like go-to types of challenges is like let's make them memorize something. And so I think this will definitely come up again. And so if it's a situation where it's like Amon has to do it by himself or whatever it may be, like I will be worried for them again. And so that's like kind of the worst Achilles heel to have in this race. So if they do get sniped out in one of these next few legs because of that, it's gonna be like, well, dang. It's like what could you do, really, you know?
It reminded me of what I had said a few episodes ago when we were recapping about my concerns about Iman and Beck and their partnership in terms of
Hmm.
like having to bring the other person up. But and because I felt like Iman could get into his head a lot. I will
Hmm.
say Beck controls it like no one else. Because even in Dive, right? We're seeing him. I
Hmm.
think it's I feel like she knows her partner very well. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Because when he's in the pool and they're walking together, she's like, breathe. And he's like, oh no, I'm
Hmm.
fine. And I was like, he looks fine to me. I don't know this man, but he looks
Hmm.
fine. She was like, no, 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 you're not. And I was like, oh.
Hmm.
And
She
she was
read
like,
him
you
like
better
a
breathe.
book.
She was like, you better breathe now with me. And she was trying to, and she, nope, do it with me now. Like, do it. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, she's controlling it. She's controlling
Yeah.
it. And then what do we see in the edit? They excel, right? And in this moment, right, they're separated, but he again gets Beck's support. She's still there. And
Hmm.
it reminded me of, I don't know if it was the last season of Amazing Race Canada or the season before. It was Ica's season, because hello, of course I would watch Ica's
Hmm.
season.
Well,
Um,
yes. I think that was last season.
spoiler, spoiler, she does not win, but regardless. But I did watch that finale, and one of the complicated challenges. I don't know if it was the finale or like before or whatever, but these there was memorization, and you had to go somewhere completely in the dark, and you were so far away from your partner. And I was thinking in that moment, like while I was watching, I was like, yes, like Iman is able to push through. I think he is capable of doing it on his own. But does her presence and being an emotional support for him help him? And I was thinking
Hmm.
if it was one of those things where it's like she has to go in a trailer and she has to watch it from like whatever, would he
Right.
have made it that far? I don't know. And so
Yeah.
not only is that their Achilles heel, but my concern is when he's really down and alone, because every time we've seen him freak out, he's been
He's
with
had
her. And
back.
freak out
Yeah.
might be like not the right choice of word. Panic. I'll say that.
Hmm.
She's gonna panic. She's been there in some shape, way, or form. If it gets to another clue where it's not really clear and it's memorization, and he has to do it and she's not around, then what? That is, I think,
Yeah.
what could really do damage to their game. I hope that Iman takes this challenge and evolves from it, because
Hmm.
him saying that he's internalized this, I can't, I'm not, whatever, whatever that they have, whatever they told him, he was able to conquer it. And like Tina and Liz,
Hmm.
taking that and moving forward and evolving is essential and important to this game. And so I'm
Yeah.
hoping that he can remember this and go, you know what, I did conquer it and I wasn't even in last. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
Carlo doesn't speak the language, but like, at least, it's
Yeah.
something to be proud of, whether or not you were first, second, or third, or last. So I'm hoping that he evolves from it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to be very careful moving forward because
Hmm.
it feels like such a big Achilles heel.
Yes, because I mean they were lucky they got there, I think in like third place, maybe third, fourth place. Because like had
Mm-hmm.
had they gotten there like the same time as Felipe and Clara, like they might have not been leaving before them. But yeah, like you said, I think it does help a lot, like that feeling of like, oh, I really struggled with this, but I still managed to finish it and we didn't get eliminated. Like, I think that like in and of itself, like takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders. Like I wasn't the reason we got home and I got to like do this thing that like I'm not comfortable in. So I think it could like even like motivate him like for a future challenge where he is maybe in this position. So it could overall be like a really good, like almost like a saving grace that they went through this experience on this leg. But we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm. And
And then
Beck is good at memorizing. We've seen it.
mhm.
So
Beck's good at
she sh
everything.
she might be really good at it.
She's their
Whoa,
ace in the
wake that
hole.
up, wake that up. No, she's a head diva. She's a head diva. She's a diva
Just
in
like
this
Soraya,
house.
like she's carrying. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like
Well, yes. So like maybe they won't have to ever run into this problem again. But I think it's gonna make them at least second guess what they're reading when they're reading the clue.
yeah. And so finally, of course, we have Felipe and Clara who come in last place. They do not get eliminated, so they are still in the race. But I mean, chat, I've literally been saying this since like leg one. They give burnout to me so bad, and I think we're seeing it here. They flopped at really every challenge. Unfortunately, they left every single challenge in last except for the face off, and that's only because Shayla and Cheyenne were bad at ping pong. And so I just I mean I do think they can come back, but like at this point I don't see them making it to the final four. Um it just like they have it seems like they have too many weaknesses that we've seen on display like throughout multiple legs of this race. And so I'm just like at one of these times it's gonna get them. And it was almost this time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what skill again stands out from their
hmm
toolbox. I mean, they've clearly been doing something right because they've been in the top four for most of the
hmm
season. So I don't want to clock them, but it's kind of the same thing with the Sasha and Sebastian, where it's like I don't know what stands out like with
hmm
them, but they might have to. Did they do well at herding cattle? Maybe it was them.
Did
So
they do
maybe
it?
again, herding cattle. Remember that one challenge where they had to get something like was it a bell or
Oh,
something? And then there was a Desjardins assist,
yes. Oh, yes,
and
yes,
then
yes. I
Dana and
remember.
Cordelia got it, and then they got eliminated.
I don't even think they did that well. Like, I think they just did like average.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't really know what it is with them. I don't know what stands out as their best skill. And maybe they haven't had the chance to, but we're on episode 6. Like,
No,
what
like,
what different
there's
skill are
only
they
four
gonna
legs to
show
go.
us? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll be interested to see if they're able to climb up. And I'm curious if they're gonna be just so good that they're climbing up, or there's gonna be teams that are really worse than them, and that's why they get to skate on by. That'll be different in my thought in the next episode when it comes to them.
hmm Yeah. So we'll see, child. We'll see.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. I think they're probably going out soon, as well as Michele and Matteo. And then I think between the other five teams, like I could see that being interesting. I don't know for sure who I think would make that final four. Um, yeah.
As long as Soraya doesn't get injured, I think the top four is Tina, Liz, Amon, Soraya, Sasha, Sebastian, and Amon and Beck.
hmm I can see that for sure. But yeah, any other, I mean, as far as the schedule, the way the schedule should work out of how this race works, there's only four legs left, okay? And one of those is a finale, which would include four teams. So these next three legs have to be eliminations in order to get down to the four teams that will be racing to the finish line. So I don't want to see any more non-eliminations. Get it out of my face. Get them banned. We don't do that here. Okay. So everything after this is you're gone. Coming last, you're gone. So we should be getting an elimination next week. And you should be able to interview somebody next week, which will be great.
I think I can confirm. I think I am interviewing someone. I didn't read. I saw
Okay.
like an email. I won't spill what the email says because one of it was a big compliment. So,
Oh,
anyways,
very good.
that's gonna be kept to myself. But I think the email was to confirm a time for my exit interview. I think I have to look at it. So, I definitely
Gotcha.
think someone is getting eliminated. I just don't know who. So we'll see.
Yeah. hmm but yeah, any other thoughts on the episode, Josiane?
No, I was entertained. I love being again. Shout out to Union. That's my stomping ground. Like if there's a place I know very well, like the back of my hand, it's Union Station. Um, They said that they're going to Southern Ontario, or they're continuing Southwestern Ontario, which is the area that I've grown up in, the GTA. Currently, where I work and stuff like that is considered Southwestern Ontario. I'm interested to see what city in particular they go to because I know that Amon and Soraya are from Windsor, which is Southwestern Ontario.
Mm,
So I don't know if they're going to be in Windsor, but that is their stomping grounds, which could be a huge advantage as well. So I'm curious to
mhm.
see where exactly they're going in the next challenge, and if I'm gonna have some connection to it, like I have in the past few episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where things go. I hope we continue with this shakeup of, teams and placements and everything. Um, somebody will definitely be getting eliminated, so I'll be interested to see who that is. And yeah, I think it's been another great recap. So let's get into the outro, baby. Okay. If you're someone who's tuned into Big Brother, you should know by now we cover everything Big Brother. Okay. We're
Mm.
literally every single day there's a podcast talking about it. Josiane, aren't you on one of these podcasts? I can't remember.
Well, yes, I host the Social
Right.
Network. Yes,
Hmm.
it didn't
Yes.
happen this week due to unforeseen circumstances, but I will be back. And it's kind of getting dark and twisted for me personally. It's kind of getting rocky for me personally,
Yeah.
but I will continue
Yeah.
to show up because that's what I signed up to do through the good
Hmm.
and the bad and the ugly and the DHOH. So
Hmm. I was an
it
employee,
is what
and
it
I
is.
was gonna get employee
I
of the
was
month.
gonna get employee of the
Let's be
month.
real.
Right. So
Hmm.
I will be there on
Yes.
Tuesday talking about all the stuff, all the social networks of it all. Hence the name.
Mhm. Yes. So make sure to get into Josiane on Tuesdays. I do the Monday live feed recaps as well as Wednesday episode recaps. So, if you want to see me talk a little bit Big Brother, do that as well. Um, of course, join in on the bracketology if you haven't. It's been very fun. Everybody, just like in this episode of the race, everybody's placements changing all the time. You get to draft different players each week, and you get points based on the different things they do in the game, such as winning competitions, nominating people, saying certain buzzwords in the episode. So make sure you get in on that. It's a lot of fun. What else do we have? Of course, just join the Discord in general. We talk a lot in there about all your favorite shows. There's always discussion about like not only Big Brother, but like Project Runway. I see always has people talking RuPaul's Drag Race. So there's somebody to talk to and something to talk about. Hello. And of course, vote for the shows that you want to be covered in the reality rewind. We will be covering two of these shows. So make sure you get in those votes. I think it closes in like October or something. So you have a while, but don't forget, do it now. Do it now. Okay. And make sure you're casting your vote for who done it. Thank you very much. And then, of course, the Patreon has Reality, Kingdom's Choice, and Lee and Pharaoh doing their Thursday live eviction watch along. So, a bunch of fun exclusive content for you, and it's only $3 a month. And also, again, if you join the bracketology and manage to win, you get a free year of the TRK Patreon. So, another incentive. And of course, get into the other shows that we do. Of course, we'll be back for the Amazing Race Canada. We have Master Chef. We have sports now for all those straighties out there. Coming soon.
Come on,
Uh,
everyone. We got not everyone that is straight is hosting Call That Fuck. Let's start there.
but of course,
Everyone
coming
got to say.
soon. Well, I guess we can. The civilian version of The Traitors is coming out soon, of course, which I'm personally very excited for. Survivor 51, US The Amazing Race, which I will be hosting, of course. So yeah, lots of other content for you guys to get in on. And I think that's gonna be all for us. Thank you for keeping it real with the kingdom, and we will see you guys next